is Dr. Dain here. Welcome back to Tools for Being a Gentleman, a part of the Return of the Gentleman series. And what I'd like to do in this is just share with you, as I have before. Hopefully you've seen some of the other tools. If not, there's a lot more out there. Go search and find them. I know you're probably far more capable at that than I am. But give you some simple tools that allow you to be the gentleman that you've always wanted to be. The gentleman you know you are, the gentleman that actually is there in a way that other men on the planet don't yet have the ability or capacity or willingness to choose. So one of the questions I get asked a lot is a gentleman always polite? Now that is a wonderful question, because if you look at what is embodied in polite, oh my goodness, how many of you have spent your lives trying to be polite, meaning that you never say anything that pushes anybody's buttons. You never say anything that may bust open somebody's world to a greater possibility. You never do anything to offend anyone, and you keep yourself in this little place right here where you can't go here too far and you can't go here too far. That's really, really limiting. So is a gentleman always polite? Well, I'm gonna say for the most part, a gentleman tends to be more polite, or what you would think of as polite, than most people on the planet will ever be. But at the same time, they're also willing to be that which follows the energy to create the greatest possibility. Sometimes that comes across to others as not being polite. What do I mean by that? Well, a lot of times what we do is we're so aware, and if you've never acknowledged this will be really cool for you to get just this awareness, if nothing else, from this video. We're so aware of other people's judgments and their points of view when we're sitting across from them talking to them, when we're asking somebody out on a date, or trying to get to that place where we have the courage to ask them out on a date, or ask them to come over and have sex, or ask them to be part of our business, or whatever it is. We're so aware of their judgments, and what happens with judgments is judgments create a box, and everything in the box is right and everything outside the box is wrong. And we're so aware of this as gentlemen that we never want to poke holes in the box, because we feel like we're being bad, we're being wrong, we're being impolite to people, we're being unkind. None of that is actually true. One of the things I found from my friend Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, and we've been working together for over 18 years now, and it's been amazing, and he is so different. He truly is a consummate gentleman, but he never, ever, ever allows that box of judgment to determine the conversation he will have with somebody, nor does he allow that box of judgment to create a limitation of what he is willing to invite someone to. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if they have this box of judgment and all this stuff is right and all this stuff is wrong, one of the greatest ways of creating a greater possibility is to lift up the edge of the box a little bit and expose them to something that might be out here, to see how they respond, because then they have to go into question. See, one of the things a gentleman does is a gentleman is always functioning from the question themselves, but they're also willing to put other people into question to create a greater possibility. So in being polite, all you do is that box is there, even if you've never acknowledged it before. Now you know that box is there, and you're never willing to poke a hole in the box or lift up an edge of the box. As a gentleman, you're willing to poke as many holes in the box as you need to create the greatest possibility. Let me give you an example. Recently we've been interviewing people. We have a resort in Costa Rica that we are creating. We also have a castle in Italy that we're refurbishing that will actually be done, yay, by 2019. And in doing so, we need to hire people, right? So Gary was interviewing a potential manager for the castle in Italy. And I have never been present for a conversation that was it went to so many different places. But what it did was it gave Gary the awareness of whether this man would choose to stay in the box of points of view and judgments that he had, or whether he would get out of it, or even if he had one. And it was interesting because Gary asked him all kinds of quote unquote provocative questions, and the man never had a response that was like, oh my God, I can't believe you're asking me this. He fielded every question, but not from judgment, not from pre-calculation, but from, oh yeah, okay. And and Gary would say, well, what happens if we have a flood in the castle? And he'd go, well, we'd handle it. You know what I mean? And he would say, okay, so what do you want to be paid? And he went, well, here's what I'm currently making. Okay, what would you really like? He's like, well, at least that. And And those are a lot of questions people would not necessarily ask somebody. Now, in a job interview, you could see where somebody might, but are you willing to do that to find out what a potential romantic interest might have as their point of view? Because there's two things in this, okay? The one is this box that they have of their reality, of the judgments of what's right and wrong. This box determines how they're going to be with you. And there are certain people in the world you have to realize, and this is one of the big things you want to get out of this conversation, is that certain people make this box the sum total of their reality. And if you try to do anything beyond it, they will make you wrong, they will judge you, and they will try to destroy you because they feel like you're trying to destroy their reality. Certain people have this box, but it's sort of made like like mosquito netting or something. It's not solid walls, meaning they have a far more flexible reality. So you'll ask them a question that's outside of the box of what they thought was real. I keep doing this. I think you get the idea of box by now. It's probably, something you've learned already. Anyway, sorry. But they have this idea, certain people have this idea of what they've decided is real and true, but if you present them an idea out here, they go, oh, that's an awesome idea. Those are the people that are much more fun to hang out with. Those are the people that are actually, it's so much more successful and easy for you when you hire them. Those are the people that if you're gonna date or create a relationship and you desire more possibilities in the world, not this sort of box of relationship that everybody else has, those are the people you wanna actually embrace, because those are the people that are willing to have a different and a greater reality that you won't have to fight them in order to create. How many people in your life, how many women in your life, how many men in your life, how many people in your life have you been trying to fight to get them to create a greater reality with you, but they're not interested? Their box is so solid. Like Yoda said, oh, the box is, this one is strong. It's probably a bad Yoda imitation. And what the hell does Yoda have to do with, gentlemen? Although he was kind of a gentleman in his own way, although I don't think you want to dress like Yoda. Anyway, that's a story for another time. Okay, so the thing is, some people's boxes are so strong and they're so solid, and if you're just interested in being polite, you'll never find out whether they're willing to go beyond that box. And from my point of view personally, and I never realized this, I've known this for years without knowing that I knew it, and I didn't realize how committed I was to being polite and never hurting anybody's feelings and never pushing anybody's buttons. And I realized over my lifetime, I've missed thousands of opportunities and possibilities to see what was really possible for people that they didn't even know and invite them to that possibility. But also, especially in romantic relationships or sexual relationships, it's like I missed the chance to see what was really true for them before ever getting involved in it. And I don't know about you, but I've had many years of suffering in many relationships. If you've suffered in relationship, I'm gonna say this one conversation, if you'll embrace it, you may need to watch this another 25 times to get what I'm talking about. But this one conversation, if instead of just making this box real and being so polite that you wanna have something beyond it, if you would ask questions about a greater reality and see if they can go there. Ask questions that might even seem a little challenging to their current reality and see if they can go there without getting angry at you, without resisting and reacting to you, seeing if they can actually embrace a greater possibility. If you'll do that, you'll find the people that are not committed to holding on to that box of limitation and judgment and rightness and wrongness. So just a real quick example, what would a question like that be? Of course you're asking, right? I would too. Anything that's beyond that box. So for example, let's say you're with somebody and one of the things that's really interesting to you is to travel around the world and they don't have a passport. They've never been out of your country, right? Whatever country you live in. And you could ask them, you could say, hey, wow, one of the things that really interests me is traveling around the world. And if they look at you and go, why would anybody want to do that? To leave now. They've given you the information you require. See, whether you know it or not, for a gentleman, the conversations that they have with people are, one, about gathering information about what's true for this person. Two, gathering information for what might be possible to create with this person, and also where their current limitations are and if they're willing to change them and have something greater. And then number three, to see if you want a future engagement with that person in whatever way it might be. If we would start asking people more questions and more open-ended questions and more questions that sort of expose that box and give them the chance to go beyond it. Like, oh, you know, one of the things I'd love, would you like to travel around the world? Why would anybody do that? You just have your information. Or let's say you're interested in creating, I don't know, multiple houses around the world. Or maybe you're interested in having a lot of money. None of that is wrong. But if that's something that's important to you, you need to find out if the person you're looking to have as a romance partner, even a sexual partner, which is interesting because that'll create an energy in your life also, a business partner, anybody you're gonna have close to you, you wanna see, hey, wow, so how do you feel about being a billionaire? Ah! You know, some people will close up and some people will light up. What you want is the people that light up on the things that interest you and realize we're all different. None of it is wrong. The only thing that's wrong, in my point of view, the only thing that truly is wrong is when you disempower somebody else. That's it. Everything else, go for it, okay? But if you have these people that light up on the things that light you up, it's gonna be a far more productive engagement of whatever kind it happens to be. So, I hope this tool has been helpful. I know it's a little bit around the map and I did box a lot, okay? But I want you to get it, you know, box. I don't think I should probably be either a geometry major or like an engineer, because I don't think my box is very square. Anyway, that's just, you know, self-awareness. Self-awareness is always good. Okay, on that note, my beautiful friends, truly, thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been a contribution. And I look forward to having you get this beautiful Return of the Gentleman book so you can check out some more of this and check out the other videos that I have online, and let's explore this area together. Let's create something different on this planet together as gentlemen. And what if you, truly being you, are the gift, the change, and the possibility this world requires? And one last really quick thing. These conversations apply to men, women, and everyone and everything else, okay? Doesn't matter how you define yourself, doesn't matter what kind of body you have, all of this is actually about all of us. So, I look forward to meeting you in person someday. Thank you for watching. Bye.